So I'm looking at this question of facing death. A guy called Ernest Becker wrote a book called The Denial of Death. Quite recently, I think, and he wrote this: the idea of death, the fear of it, haunts the human animal, the human being, like nothing else. The fear of death haunts humans like nothing else. An article in the Guardian newspaper continues with these thoughts, and of course it terrifies us. Death anxiety appears to be at the core of several mental health disorders, including health anxiety, panic disorder, and depressive disorders. And it says we're too scared to talk about it. It is one of the taboo subjects, isn't it, of our culture, of the West at least, that we're too scared to talk about death. A survey in 2014 found that 8 in 10 British people are uncomfortable talking about death. Those are only the ones who admitted to it. I guess the number is probably higher. 8 in 10 are uncomfortable, and only a third have written a will. Because we don't like to think about it. This article, quite a recent article in the Guardian newspaper, goes on to say if fear of death is in fact as inevitable as the event itself, there's one change we can make to help. In Western culture, we tend to pretend death doesn't exist. The UK and the US, he calls death-denying cultures. We live in denial of death, in that death is mostly avoided as a topic. However, this particular writer suggests that the less something is openly discussed, the scarier it becomes. While avoiding talking about death can reduce a little discomfort in the short term, it probably makes most of us much more anxious to die in the long term. And that's true of anything scary, isn't it? Anything that is truly frightening. If we just avoid it, if we pretend it doesn't exist, if we try to sweep it under the carpet, ultimately it doesn't really help. It's still there in the background. It's not going away.